And
all
just
good.
call me if you want me.
Hello. Oh, that's weird. Hold on. Hi everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulty. I had an issue with this one. Welcome to Open Mic UK. Thank you for joining us, and we already have somebody on the call. Kylie, sorry,
Kaylee.
who's
Hey,
who
Kaylee.
would be on our show tomorrow night. She's on today, cheering us up. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to our show. I just have an announcement, just a small announcement to make that the Spirit Cafe had graciously sponsored the Open Mic UK, and Open Mic, which is for North America. Thanks for Kathy and Susie for believing in this in our program. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to announce that I'll be speaking in Energy in Motion. This is a program coming with the Therapeutic Touch Network and Therapeutic Touch Network of Quebec. This is an event in Montreal this Sunday, May the 5th at 1 o'clock. So if you're in Montreal, Ottawa, or nearby, or you want to fly from anywhere in the world to see us, please do. It's an awesome afternoon. So welcome everyone, and I'll pass the mic to my co-host, Kathy.
Hi, so fun to be here. I'm looking forward to learning more about Tanis's work. I've listened to the two of you many times on Fridays, and I just want to hear more. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Susie.
Hi, everybody. I'm here in Ireland and it's still raining. And delighted to be here. And I'm really excited about this evening. I want to learn lots more about Tanis and the work she does, the programs and the courses, and also to see who wants to join us live and comes with their questions, and let's see where the conversation goes. So thanks, Ramsey.
Thank you, Susie. By the way, I'm in Montreal. It's raining. Kathy is in Vermont. I think it's cloudy, and Susie in Ireland. And we welcome Tanis, who's in Ottawa. Sorry, I was going to say Toronto. I don't know why.
Maybe my spirit's over there right now.
Well, welcome to the show as a guest, not as a co-host. And tomorrow afternoon we'll be together again for the Montreal event.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Do you introduce yourself?
I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twila Lifestyle Community, Twila Lifestyle Academy. And I do a whole bunch of different stuff, energy stuff, and I'm a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess. I work with crystals and lots of energy. I do
Awesome.
stuff.
We have a
right?
lot to learn today to see what you do, but she's work lurking. I like that. She's working and tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a lot on the call. So, Tanis,
Yes.
I know you do a lot. I know that you and I, we met a couple of years ago. I don't know what we did in previous lives, but we did
Lots of
connect
previous
in
lives.
Ottawa for one of those events, and then we disconnected and we reconnected again. And I did the Nocti course with you, which is an energy healing course, along with some other stuff that I've done. So do tell us, twillowlifestyle.ca.
Yes.
What is it about?
Well, I started my business about 8 years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago. And it was just me doing Reiki in the basement. I had a download way back then about building a community, possibly having a center in the future. And so it's, hey, Jen. Thank you. So it started just as me doing Reiki in my basement, and it's just grown since then. I now have 3 practitioners working with me, and over COVID, of course, that pushed everyone out of our comfort zone. So we had to do things a little bit differently. I realized, how much I stretched during that. I stretched my own, my own limiting beliefs that I had, and moved those out of the way, and started doing a whole lot more online. I then had 3 people in a month ask me to mentor them, and so I was like, okay, guys, tell me what I need to do for that. And they're like, well, start a school. And I'm like, but it's just me. And they're like, start a school. I'm like, okay. So I started the school, and there's now 6 of us teachers, and Ramsey is one of them, which is awesome. And so is Jen, by the way, the one that I just said hello to. And so it's it's just grown from there, and started doing podcasts. And so I do 4 or 5 regular podcasts over the course of a month. And so really we do a whole variety. The teachers are amazing. I'm so blessed. They all have their own specialties and skills, and so it really brings a beautiful healing opportunity, healing connections together in order to really sort of be able to help our clients in the most well-rounded way. So that's really the goal. So we have like a psychotherapist, we have yoga instructors, we've got energy healing of numerous different ones covered. There's just all sorts of things. We've got an essential oil specialist, a holistic nutritionist who also does herbology. We have the homeopathics, and the I think I said essential oils, didn't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, flower essences as well. So we have practitioners in all of these different sort of modalities. So it's a great way for us to really pull those all together into different programs that have a lot of synergy. So it really helps us to be able to offer a wide range of services and of classes to the community. So, and I'm always so honored and blessed to be part of that group, with the group of people that we have. They're just amazing people. So yeah, so that's how we started little, and now we're a big group, and we're growing the community online. We have a membership page as well on our website, twililowlifestyle.ca, and we just realized there's a bit of a glitch with the website, so we'll get on that. In the UK anyways, I think everybody else is good, but there seems to be something going on there, so we'll take a look. Hi Liz, how's it going? And Hypnocity, hi.
I think
So yeah,
thanks you got a heart.
So that's kind of where we're at. We we really try to get on and do as much sort of help as we can in these podcasts. So we have Twillo Talk, which is once a week on Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And Jennifer and I get on and chat, and we have a guest usually. Probably 3 out of 4 weeks we have a guest. We try to do one just us, but we end up with guests. And Ramsey's been on there, of course, and lots of other great people. So we've been blessed with that. I'm also a Galactic Ambassador for the Galactic Federation, as well as for the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. And we're a worldwide organization that working behind the scenes at the UN to help them make some changes in terms of, when they do come down, are we going to treat them diplomatically and that sort of thing. So we're working with that. So I do a podcast with them called Bridge to the Galaxy, and that's where I interview people in the ET community and the UFO community, and bring that stuff forward. And then Ramsey and I do Friday every second week, and I do another one called Conversations with Therapists, which is a group from the UK, actually, and I do that once a month. And that's not live. That one is recorded. We just did one yesterday. And I also do one for Beyond Being Human Network, which is based out of Australia. That one's called Explorations, and we have all sorts of spiritual guests and stuff that come on. I think I've got them all.
Wow. That's quite a lot, isn't it? I'm like, wow. Like,
I'm a busy girl.
You clearly are. I'm fascinated because you mentioned quite a few words that I'm not familiar with, you know, that I have I have a loose concept of them, like, but how did you get into so many different, and I know you've met a wide network of people, but how do you get called in for all those different roles, wear all those different hats? You know, how do you get to know about all that information?
It all just presented itself. You know, I laugh with all the time. I just do what I'm told. You know, they tell me what to do, and I presented with something, and it happens. So I really haven't, like, I've been really blessed because I haven't actually, like, gone out of my way to be put in these positions. It's just, I've been like, oh, I'm supposed to go to that networking thing, and then I end up meeting this person, or, oh, I'm supposed to, you know, have something to do with this. It was funny. So the Alliance story is a bit of a funny one. I do channel work. So I'm a full trance channel. And so I had done some channeling of Commander Ashtar Sheeran of the Galactic Federation. He's the commander of the Galactic Federation in this district. Anyway, so I had been doing some channeling for him, and I was on the phone with a friend of mine who's not fully into this world. So I was like, I don't know why I'm telling him. And I started telling him about all of this channeling. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm telling him this story. But I couldn't stop telling him. So I'm like, okay, I guess he's just going to either think I'm like out there or. So I was telling him, and at the end of the conversation, he looks at me and he goes, so that's interesting. I have a friend who's doing a conference in October. It's something to do with ETs. Do you want to meet him? I'm like, sure. And I meet this guy, and he's the vice president of the Alliance. And so I told him how I became a galactic ambassador, which is another whole story that was fascinating. But I got initiated into being a galactic ambassador with the Federation. This is all in the astral, that part. And so I was telling him that story. And again, I'm thinking he's not particularly of the spiritual nature, right? He's very much the science guy for the Alliance, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I guess he's going to either, and I couldn't stop telling him the story, just like the first time. And so anyway, he ends up saying, yeah, we have another person that was knighted as an ambassador. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, that's cool. He's like, yeah, so one of the people that was involved in that, they're trying to build, the Alliance is trying to build support, right? Because that's how you have political change, is with support. And so he was saying how they were trying to build support. We're over, I think it's a million one or 1.2 million in terms of people right now for supporters of the Alliance. And so we've built that quite a bit in the last 2 years. And so anyways, so that's what he was saying, was we were trying to build support. So getting to know people that knew a lot of people, like those influencers and stuff. And one of the influencers happened to be on the TV when I was told I was an ambassador by my guides. And so I said, why don't you reach out to him? And he said, oh yeah, I actually have a meeting with him next week. And I was all like, what? Because he was on a TV show, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, can you tell him what a difference he made for me and all this? And he's like, well, if you're going to join us, then you'll get to know him yourself. And you can tell him yourself. I'm like, you want me involved? And he's like, well, yeah, if you want to be. I'm like, sure. And so being in HR, I'm an HR consultant as well. So as I joined the first meeting that we went to, we were talking about them not having an org chart, for instance, or not needing it updated. And so he was saying, how all of us are galactic ambassadors. After I told my story, he was like, we're all galactic ambassadors. I'd really like that to be one of the positions on the org chart. And so that's how I became a galactic ambassador in the astral. And then in in the physical. So it's really all about like being here, do this. That's just one example, but a lot of the stuff has been that way. It's just been presented to me.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically being ready and open, and then everything else starts to fall into place.
Yeah, these are soul contracts for me, apparently. So I just follow along the process to get there. Yeah. And most of it's
Tanis,
been that way.
I see a beautiful shape behind you. What I think that's for your crystal work. Is that right?
It's a copper pyramid, and so I often will do crystal baths in the pyramid. So I'll set it up with a mattress for myself and my clients, and then put crystals around it so that you're lying within this sacred geometric shape. And then the pyramid helps to amplify all of that stuff. And you can't quite see it on the camera right now, but right in the center hanging down, there's a quartz point. And so what it does is brings all that energy into that quartz point so that it helps to really like give energy to the whole body.
Oh, wow. So you can get in that pyramid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even just sitting in the pyramid as it is, or laying down in there is very, very good for the energy system. So.
Well, what does it do? Like, what is it? The copper, or is it what?
All of it together. It's the shape as well. So sacred geometry plays a role in that. So pyramids are representative of fire in terms of energy, and so copper's an amplifier as well. So all of that just amplifies the energy in the center of it and creates this field. Now you can activate it too. So when I activate it with energy, just by tracing with a wand or an athame or even my fingers, it helps to amplify the energy that's coming down. So it pulls energy from source and brings it down into the
And how do the crystal play into the energy part of if you put them outside? I'm sorry, I'm asking not from my perspective. I'm asking from somebody who doesn't know anything about it. So how does, like you said, you put crystals outside?
Not outside, but inside, around. So if they're I would put a foam bed in the center, and then crystals around the outside to support their chakras, to support the energy field.
Oh,
so the crystals are inside the pyramid and just outside the mattress, so they're like lying on the mattress.
Okay, and then the energy basically twirls within the. Okay, I get that now. I get it. Awesome. Sorry, I'm asking from a point of view of someone who does not know anything about it. We have a question. Does the pyramid have to be mounted on the floor, or so says my naturopath, but I don't believe? You can intend the pyramid over you. No?
Yeah. So no, it doesn't have to be mounted on the floor. That's not been my experience anyway. I don't find that it needs to be. In terms of intending a pyramid over you, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, we can do that. We can draw a pyramid in the air, and it creates a light signature that creates that energy that we can sit in. So if you don't have a pyramid, you can definitely put that up. And I've had a week like that this week. It doesn't matter which. I've done a few this week, and every time I'm like tongue-tied this week. I don't know. It must be the energy.
We have another silly visual. Hold on. Like energetic tanning bed, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Liz says, thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, sacred geometry is so, it's strong in terms of energy and stuff. So when you work with sacred geometry, it helps you to sort of focus and bring in specific qualities of energy. So different sacred geometry has different energy related to it. So you can play with the geometries and bring in the frequencies that are needed specific to the energy body.
Okay. So I would come to you looking for help with what, and you would treat me with the crystals.
Well, I usually, what I do is a 2-hour signature session. That's usually my first thing. It's kind of And what happens is we do a whole number of things because I do a lot of forgiveness work. I do past life work. We work with, sound and energy healing, whether it's Reiki, Nukti, all of those, Aqualead. And as we work with those, then we start to get messaging and stuff too. And, I work with crystals as well, but it's like just part of the business. So I do all these other things as well. So it's very rare that I do just strictly a crystal session unless I'm offering like crystal baths, which is more like something I would do have a day and have it set up and have people make appointments for that specific day, and you have like 15 minutes or whatever. So
Sounds lovely.
Aw, thanks, guys. So nice.
Love studying sacred geometry. Is so natural to me, like a second language. Yeah. Everything is sacred geometry. Well, it's not like sacred, but it's the building blocks of the universe. From the meditation that Susie does, that takes us from one place into another to spiral thing, that's part of the sacred geometry. Yeah. This
Building
is
block of life, right? The flower of life.
Yeah.
So this is actually a crystal grid using sacred geometry. So you take that and it's like you lay it down and you put crystals on it, depending on what you're trying to create, and it makes a bubble of energy, right? And so that bubble of energy, the more we're close to that bubble of energy, it affects our energy field. And when we do that, then we start to change our own energy to match it. And so these are great for that. So that's just another way to use the sacred geometry piece as well.
Cool. Is it all intuitively kind of guided, Tanis, when somebody comes to you, how, like obviously somebody's coming because they're feeling out of balance or that they're challenged with something in their day-to-day. So, do you just get the guidance then when you tune in, or is there sort of a protocol that you follow?
Yeah, well, most people, when they come, they're coming with some specific things, and so we explore sort of what's creating that for them. So one thing I do is I usually do. It's funny because I have a business hat too, so I tend to bring both into each other. So for this, I often bring in a root cause analysis for people. So we look at, for instance, when's the last time you were triggered? When was the last time you were really upset about something? And then I ask them 5 whys. So it's like, why were you really upset? So example, someone comes to me, they're concerned because they lost it in traffic. They got really frustrated. I'm like, okay, so why were you frustrated in traffic? Well, because I was going to be late. Okay, so why does that matter? Well, because the people at the other end are going to be upset with me. Okay, why does that matter? Well, they won't want to be friends with me. Why does that matter? Well, I don't want to not have any friends. I'm like, okay, so we got to the root cause of abandonment from that, right? And so then I ask, okay, so when's the first time you remember feeling abandoned? And it doesn't matter really if it's linear time, the first time. It's whatever the first one that comes up to mind when I say that. And then usually we look at that and there's usually people involved or it's a situation, and we'll use the Ho'oponopono, which is a forgiveness mantra technique from the Huna tradition. And we use that on the people and the situation. So what that does is it really sort of, every time we have an instance where we're triggered, that becomes just one part of the equation. This trigger is actually happening with all of these other instances, that all of those are combined to create the effect here. So if we can start working at the beginning and sort of work our way forward, we're getting the worst of it, because this is where it was created, was back here. So we're getting the worst of it. And it really cuts down on the triggers. So, when we talk about triggers and stuff, we're talking about like a barrel, for instance, right? That's full of water. And a trigger is just one drop that goes into that water and it overflows. So what we're doing is, with the Ho'oponopono, is really like siphoning off water, so that if they get one drop, it's not going to overflow their bucket or their barrel, right?
Nice.
So that is kind of how we work through some of those things. So often that would be something we would look at. Two things that are pretty standard, I would say, especially in the first session, would be things like that for various things. And usually it ends up, parents are a big source for for that kind of healing, or siblings, young childhood stuff. And then, or, exes and all of that kind of thing. And then another piece that's almost always there is some kind of energy healing. So whether it's Reiki, and I never really do just one energy modality, it usually ends up being quite a combination. And that part is intuitive, whatever I'm called to do. I mean, energy is intellectual, so it does its thing. It's a consciousness and has its own guidance principles. And so I just call in the different frequencies and allow them to move as I do my session, and I'll feel the energy shift to different qualities of energy as we go through the session. So those are kind of the main things, and then we add in whatever's needed. Sometimes the Ho'oponopono is needed on past life stuff, and so we'll do that. A lot of us have had lives in like as priests or nuns, and we've taken vows of poverty or vows of abstinence and stuff like that. And so often those can end up being a block in this lifetime. So going back and healing that and doing vow breaks on those past life issues can be a great way to sort of get things moving in this life as well. So yeah, it's a combination of what the person needs, and it's all about the conversation that we have as we go. And they're telling me, they just put the thoughts in my mind. Okay, do this now, do this now, do this now, and I just do what I'm told.
So it feels like, or it sounds to me like it can apply to so many different aspects of life, not just relationships, but I suppose, habits or patterns, or maybe trying to find more clarity.
Someone's playing over there.
My bad. My
Yeah,
bad.
definitely. It can be those can be applied to all different aspects. It's really about somebody trying to find their own authentic self within, and bringing that forward. So about finding their path towards really what is their true self, like Ramsey always talks about, right? What's their true self? Where is that authentic piece, and how do we find our way on this road that we call life? Because really it's all about learning as we go on. And so really a lot of the session ends up being teaching as well, especially if someone's not very familiar with the energy system and how energy works and all of that stuff. Then I that's why the first session is usually a 2-hour, because it allows me to do that teaching so that they have tools to be able to help themselves manage their energy going forward. So my sessions are really about empowering people to learn how to manage their own energy. And at least the first one is, and then we start delving in, depending on what's needed. So it's really, and that, there's also things like, the other thing I didn't talk about was cord cutting and curse removal stuff. So that's with the shamanism, and your soul retrieval stuff. Those things are all a great piece that usually ends up in there somewhere along the way as well. So does that answer your question? I kind of went on really long.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I suppose everybody is going to be so different. It takes a combination. It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, everybody's so unique, and
Yeah.
we've all had our own unique experiences. So it's not a one size fits all for energy treatment. I mean, even if you just do an energy treatment on somebody, just Reiki, because I do have like express sessions where we just go in and clear your chakras and stuff. But even that, each person's energy requires different things. So I've been blessed to be able to have all these tools in my toolbox, and so being able to share them is it's a great way to really help others and be of service, and that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. There's you answered this question. Yes, Spirit is always there to help out, and she also says past life stuff too, which you do that. And the last one, learning how to manage your own energy has been so empowering.
Absolutely. It's something that I wish we taught in schools, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, if I had my druthers, I think I would have everybody trained in Reiki 1. Because Reiki 1 is all about your self-care and being able to manage your own energy. And so to me, it should be something that's really encouraged and taught. Mhm.
Now, wait, because if anybody has any other question to ask you,
yeah, for
because
sure.
I've known you for 3 years, so I'm not gonna ask that many questions.
I have loads. So
Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
How can I
I'm
help?
I'm
How can I
really
help?
curious as well about you know, what it, when I have friends who've trained in shamanism, you know, and then your title that I made a note of is Celtic shamanic priestess. So can you kind of break that down a little bit for me? Like, what does that mean? What does that
Mhm.
make? What do you do as that? You know.
So the Celtic Shamanic High Priestess program is a year and a day that we
Hmm.
have. I'm trained through the mystery schools, and so this was part of that was from them that we kind of. So I use some of the knowledge from there, and I also add in a bunch of other stuff. So it's really a combination. It's not just that. Um, but the whole thing, I was trained as a combination. So I am a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess. Basically, what it is it's a Celtic shaman and a Wiccan High Priestess. So it's combined into one. So we do a whole variety of stuff. So a shaman basically is someone who goes between the worlds, right? And
Hmm.
does healing work and soul retrieval and all of that kind of thing. And then the Celtic or the Wiccan High Priestess, so the Wiccan path is all about doing, um, being really in touch with nature, being in touch with the moon cycles and the equinoxes and all of that stuff. So we do a lot of ceremony around that. So your full moon and new moon ceremonies are involved. Then you've got your sabbats, which are the Wiccan holidays. And so those come up, every probably about, I think there's 10 a year. And then we've got, the other part related to that some Wiccans practice, some don't, but we do cover some of it is the magic aspect. Of course, all light ascension magic. We don't touch dark magic at all in the program. I'm very specific about that, and we definitely I actually put checks and balances in for everybody on that. Like we need to watch everybody in terms of keeping everybody on track. And really the big difference between light magic and dark magic is light magic is that you're bringing an energy to you. So it's much like manifesting, right? We hear a lot about manifesting. We just talked about it actually with the crystal grids, right? That's a form that we learn in the program. And so basically light magic is all about what do you want to bring into your life? What qualities of energy do you want to bring into your life? And then it gives you tools to do that. Dark magic is where you do that, but you're taking away somebody else's free will. So, for instance, a love spell. If I'm just doing a spell to bring love into my life, that's light magic. That's just changing my vibration to the frequency of love because like attracts like. With dark magic, it's I want that person to fall in love with me. Well, in doing that, I'm taking away that person's free will, and that's dark magic. And so that's the difference. And so I'm very, very aware of that. And we don't want the karma related to that because there's way too much karma in that. So we don't touch that stuff at all. So it's all about how to manifest things in your life, being in ceremony in a way that's really comfortable for people. Each person has, over the course of the year, you develop your own spiritual practices within the program because Wicca is one of those ones that's very, very open and it's really based on there's what's called the Wiccan Rede, which is, a lot of religions and spiritual practices have things that are in common, right? So we have the 10 Commandments, for instance. So your Wiccan Rede would be like equivalent to a 10 Commandments. It's kind of like, well, I mean, any organization has that as well, right? Any organization would have like your code of ethics kind of thing. And that's kind of what the Wiccan Rede is. It's like a code of ethics. So we have a threefold law. So whatever you put out comes back to you threefold. Well, I'm certainly not going to do anything dark because I don't want that coming back at me. Thanks. Right? That whole karma thing. So, yeah. So really, you develop your own spiritual practices. What works for you, what doesn't. It allows us to play with it in a way that's, you know, guided and an overall learning. So.
And is there a whole community then that's set, you know, that follow that particular path? Like when you've done the training for the year, are you all regularly gathering, or what is the nature of the work that you do after the year is up?
Yeah, so people can choose to go on and do their own circles, or so the program actually, after the first year, I asked the students, like, what would you like to see? What do you want to see more of something? Do you want these in specific classes? How do you want to structure this? And they're like, no, we want another year of this. I was like, oh, okay. So then I created the advanced program. And then after that year, really what they were asking for was more magic stuff, hands-on stuff. How do we do that? So I created the advanced alchemy class. And so we have, like, I have third years in the advanced alchemy class. I have second years in the advanced shamanism class. And then I have my first year class going right now. So I've got three programs at the same time. And so on the Sabbats, we get together. The moon ceremonies are done individually, and they send in a picture of their altar and their work, like a worksheet. And then the Sabbats are done together. So we put it out there, and everybody's welcome to come to the ceremonies and join together in that way. And it's online because I have people from all over North America in the program. So
Wow. Fascinating, isn't it?
it's fun. I love what I do. I just feel really blessed to be able to be doing what I do. So, yeah.
I have a question for you. In one of the groups that I work with, a person was referring to a gift that she received from an indigenous tribe. And it was very special to her. She was given it, you know, she didn't take it. And somebody else called her out. That's appropriation.
Right.
And one of the ideas that we landed on was that we've all in our past lives been Celtic, been, you know, shamans, been Hawaiians with the Ho'oponopono. What's your opinion about that? Picking and choosing and using from, you know, cultures that we have now that I'm not part of, but feel an affinity toward and want to put that in the backpack of tools.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this kind of thing gets passed down to you if you're called to it. And so that would be kind of where my stance would be. I think that's a bit of a hot button issue at the moment.
Yeah.
In terms of cultural appropriation. So I see them as tools, and if they find you, then, and you're really called to it, then I think the world needs lots of light workers doing lots of different modalities. And if that's what comes to you, I think that it's important to certainly go into doing these things, as Kaylee is saying here, respecting the traditions.
Yep, giving credit.
Respecting where it comes from, you know, that sort of thing. And I think that any of them require respect, no matter where they're from. There's that respect of the origins of it. And I think that, you know, doing shamanism, for instance, shamans are from all over the world. There are shaman in all different cultures, all different parts of the world. And I think really it's just the nuances within that that create the different lineages. And so I think that, and definitely, I do think the past life thing plays a big role in there as well. So yes, I agree, Miss Eddie. Every belief system has something to offer. And I think that as long as the tools are being used with respect and honoring the traditions and honoring where it came from, because it could be from anywhere, then I think it's meant for us to help each other, right? The main theme through all of it is love and healing,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where it's from.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're bringing love and healing and respect to the practices, and we have been passed down those practices, I trust that Spirit has given us those practices for a reason, and that the person has found their way to my class for a reason, because they're meant to. And yeah, so as long as you're underpinning it with all of the respect, the love, and the healing aspect for all, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even our listeners, I think respect and honoring plays a part of it. And every belief system has something to offer. You can't minimize the importance of intention when utilizing any tools. True. And if you look around the globe, ayahuasca used to be a South American thing. Now it's given everywhere across the globe. And they do more in London ayahuasca ceremonies than they do in the jungles of Peru. That's how far. But that doesn't mean that we took it away from them. It means it's a tool for humanity to use to evolve. And as long as the person that is doing it has the good intention and honors the traditions of the ancestors, and that's it.
Yeah. I think all of these are tools that have been given to us, and however we can use these, each person is going to bring their own unique energy to every tool, no matter who you are. And so that unique energy is why we're here. Each and every one of you has your own unique abilities and gifts that you bring to the world. Even if you're not a healer, each and every one has their own gifts and abilities they bring to the world. And we're here at exactly this time to be bringing those forward. So I
Even
think
Reiki.
that, yeah, for sure.
Reiki is
Everything.
Japanese, and we all do meditation. That is Hinduism. And we do yoga. That comes from Hindus. And we get it from everywhere.
Yeah.
It's tools for humanity. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we need them
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that is why light workers are here, to help humanity at this time.
And I suppose it's like medicine. If you made some sort of a, just to like put it back in the mainstream, if somebody discovered a powerful whatever mode, you would share it. I would hope, if it's going to be helpful. It's part of the thing that I do in our groups is I'm like the person who I really work hard on the safety, and so I try and think these issues through, because then if there's the other person who's calling out the first person who says I have a right, it's also taking care of the accuser who's trying to stir things up, or wondering, is this okay? So I appreciate your input. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, exactly. You don't have to be doing healing work, right? Just shine your light. That's the more that we work on ourselves, the more we're helping humanity. People think it's selfish to do self-care.
Mm-mm.
It's not. We have to do self-care, because if we're all connected, we're all one. So the more self-care we can use or do, the more we're supporting everybody else, because we're supporting ourselves and supporting everybody else, because we're all connected. It's like an energetic grid.
Can I ask you a little bit more about the self-care practices? Is there a tendency that the more of this work that you're doing in service to others, does that mean that you really have to up your own personal self-care? Like, do you have to take like I often say, put your own mask on before taking care of others.
Yeah.
What kind of format does that take, or what, how do you approach that?
So I would say yes, definitely. I mean, I do my regular practices every day. I have a small ceremony that I do every day, and I meditate. I'm a big napper, so because of what I do, it can take a fair bit of energy depending on the day. So I make sure that I build in rest times in order to do that. And I'm at the moment I'm in the middle of taking my 200-hour yoga instructor training, so that I can support myself with that as well. And the other basics too, making sure you're getting all your nutrients and enough water and all of that stuff too. I'm human, so am I perfect at all of that? No, but that's part of being human too, right? We do the best we can. But the one thing that I do love about what I do is when I'm doing energy healing on somebody, I'm getting energy as well, because nobody's getting my energy for this, right? They're getting source. I just channel. So I end up feeling better at the end of the session. I feel like I've had, a bit of a Reiki session as well when I'm doing it. So for me, the benefit is when I'm doing Reiki and I'm doing clients and really channeling the energy through, I get benefit from it as well. So, and of course, if I go out, I'm a physical empath, so I feel everybody's aches and pains, and I feel the energy, the emotions, and all of that too. So, part of my ceremony ritual stuff is about doing energetic tubing and protection and clearing work and all of that stuff as well. So, smudging and using incense and whatnot to clear and all of that. That all kind of plays into it. So self-care, it's about tapping in. What does my body need right now? What does my mind need right now? What does my energy need right now? And what do I need overall? Like maybe it's just to sit outside, connect with the earth.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about last week, is that if you feel tired, just rest. And if you feel energetic, go build a house. You have to.
That might not be in my talent spectrum. I'm just saying. Build a crystal grid. Yes.
Listen to your body and honor it. That's what it's all about. Is that don't think that you have to lift a mountain just because you have to and you're tired. That's okay. You're tired, you rest. The next day, you have more energy. You take a piece out. It's all good. We have a trivia over here.
Oh.
Did you know that Paul Newman was an energy healer?
I did not, but I am not surprised, actually. And there are some famous people that were actually involved in the so I'm a mystery school initiate, and the mystery school is ancient teachings that goes back like thousands or hundreds of years. Anyway, I think it's thousands actually. Anyway, it's been brought forward by word of mouth, and we have some pretty famous people that are actually mystery school initiates. People like the Beatles, they were all mystery school initiates. Santana, Madonna. So yeah, there's all sorts of big people that are doing this kind of spiritual work behind the scenes. I think there's a lot more now too doing their own spiritual practices and all of that as well. So it's becoming more and more common.
Well, I started with the Beatles going to India and meeting Karoli Baba, and then launching their
That was because of the mystery school initiation that they had.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people, and especially now because there are more people that are awake and understand it more, removing a lot of society inflicted bondages. So we're trying to shed that off, and we can see more easier, clearer, and we're moving slowly into that domain. And that domain is not it used to be a hocus pocus type of thing, but today it's more of a mainstream, especially now. Like for example, the Therapeutic Touch Network of Quebec, they were trying to get that into the hospitals to help patients, ease their pain somehow by doing energy healing on the patients at the hospitals.
they've actually done some research on that in the States, actually. So William Lee Rand was instrumental in getting this into the hospital. So Reiki has become more mainstream in the hospitals because they actually did a double-blind study with Reiki, and I think it was heart patients, and it was about recovery time, decreasing recovery time for people. So they did a study where they had 3 groups. One didn't have anything. One had what I lovingly call the pretender Reiki group, and then they had the Reiki masters doing the energy healing. So, and I say that lovingly with tongue in cheek because we all have Reiki, right? We all do Reiki. So if someone's actually like doing the pretender Reiki, you're still giving Reiki. You haven't been trained, so you haven't opened the channel, so you're not getting as much, but people are still getting it. And so the ones that didn't, they were the national average in recovery rate. The ones that had the untrained Reiki practitioners, they were 12% faster.
Wow.
And the ones that didn't have, or that were Reiki trained, Reiki masters, giving those patients actually recovered 32% faster than the national average. So those studies have been really instrumental in bringing that forward within the medical system. And I have to say, I was so impressed the other day. I went to get for a medical thing, and the doctor actually, he found out I was an energy healer, and he said, "So what do we medical people need to know about energy healing? How can this work with us?" I just about fell off my chair. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing." Someone in the medical profession is actually asking me that. It's awesome. This is what we need. We need to be integrating all of the Eastern and Western medicines together, right? It's like tools and adding them all together because they all have merit. They all have their place in what we do. And if we can actually work with all of those things together, we get the most ideal outcomes for everybody. So I was super, super happy to ask that question.
There are it says some hospitals are now working with healers. Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah. And it's because of studies like William Lee Rand. I'm sure there's others too, but that's the one that I'm most familiar with. Oh, good. Yeah, Joyful Journey. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly. So that's meditation, right? And tuning into the body.
Yeah.
That's great. Meditation is so beneficial, of course. I mean, we all know that that's one of those things because it actually raises your vibration by 25 megahertz when you do it. So it's even just a few minutes will do that.
Yeah, our residence expert, Susie.
Well, I'm a bit of a fanatic on meditation, absolutely. But I had a first-hand experience of it myself last week because my doctor had asked me to wear a blood pressure monitor for 24 hours, just to record the information. And I think having the monitor on your body is actually the most stressful thing you'll ever have because every half hour it's like, and you have to stop what you're doing and, stay still or whatever. And if you're moving, it keeps inflating. So then your hand starts going blue and, so it's quite like I was thinking, this is kind of going to give you blood pressure wearing this thing and it keeps waking you all through the night. It was interesting when I was doing it. I was trying to get dressed the next day, and I was the cables and whatever, and I was like, "Gosh, that's definitely." I could feel it. That sent my blood pressure up, But then the next part was my morning yoga and doing my meditation. So I was, doing the yoga, and then the thing went off. So I was kind of clocking the time, and then I sat for the meditation, and halfway through it went off as well. So when they printed off the data then for me at the doctor's studio medical center, and luckily my blood pressure is fine, by the way. It averaged out over the 24 hours, but I was really fascinated to look at the graph and to look at okay, it did go up when I was having that struggle trying to get dressed, but the minute I was doing the yoga and the meditation specifically, it absolutely regulated. And you can see then the next readings for the hour, because I'll say they took it off about 2 hours later, but it really stabilized. And I thought, wow, it's an instant, meditation is an instant, shifting of your vibration, like you said, and your blood pressure and your whole, it's like a real immediate boost. So I've read that and we teach that, but when you have that lived experience of it, it changes it again for you, because it's not just data or somebody else's information. It's by direct experience. So yeah.
And isn't that how we learn the best, right? Is by direct experience. Just like when you're doing your Spirit Cafe too, right? You learn directly by your experiences.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, we just keep showing up and seeing what wants to be experienced. And what I love about Spirit Cafe is it's not one person, it's a group of us, and, we come from all different backgrounds, and yet the information just flows through. So do you find that with your work, Tanis, the different groups that you have? Like, I know you said you had like the first years, second years, and, third years. How does it change from the more experienced people are when they've really, obviously your third year, they're really committed. So does it change the overall kind of information that they're picking up, what's happening in the program?
Yeah, I think that program, definitely they get more in touch with it. I think that I see a bigger increase probably with the energy healing modalities, because they're actually being able to run more energy. And so the higher we get our vibration, the closer we are to hearing, seeing, feeling the other dimensional frequencies. So I think that one probably if someone's really wanting to work on their intuitive abilities, I often will encourage them to do Reiki or Aqua Lead, one of those two, to really raise their vibration first. So do their own work, right? Basically, it's encouraging them to do their own work to clear the way to start getting those messages in a different way. I think that the benefit of doing the shamanism program is it gives you the tools to put yourself in a sacred circle, to create that sacred space, to allow you to do it in a way that's comfortable, because a lot of people are a little bit uncomfortable when they first start. They've heard stuff that's not great about it, and how do they protect themselves from that, and all of that sort of thing. So I think that the programs really combine in a way that helps them to feel safe to do that kind of thing, and to trust their own intuition in a place that they can feel comfortable to play, right? Because that really is what it is. We're definitely pulling in energies from all over, and we want to be able to play with those energies and have conversation with our guides. And when we're doing the ceremonies too, like we're calling in specific guides, whether it's goddesses and gods, or ours is a very eclectic path, so I bring in a whole bunch of different ones. We work with the angels and the ascended masters in that program as well. So it does help them to kind of go into that in a way that's comfortable, and we do it very slowly before we go into it. The other program I do is a spiritual communication class, which is a channeling, and that allows them to basically start to come into spirit communication through journeys. And so they start to get information. It combines journey work with guided meditations. And so they go and do the journey, and they come back with information, and they write it out. And then slowly over the course of the class, you start being able to like tap into it, open your eyes a little bit, and write your notes, right? Or you can start to deliver as it comes through. So there's a couple of different programs that we do to do that. I think it's a great synergy when you start to do your own work as well, because you clear away all your own programming around that stuff, right? Because really it's our fears that keep us from tapping into those kinds of abilities that we might have, which everybody has. And it just clears the way for us to be able to tap into the different frequencies, and sort of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Well, no, it does, because I suppose I was wondering what happens at the different layers, but it really is all about those frequencies. And I just want to have the opportunity to mention what you were talking about before we went live, the program that you're possibly in the process of writing, I think you said, which relates to the galactic program. I'm fascinated. Would that be completely different again, or is it just another layer or a level of what you're already doing?
It's accessing a different frequency base, right? So the Celtic shamanic path is very earth-based, and the galactic shaman program is going to be very galactic energy based. So there's different galactic modalities that I've brought in. So there's Aqualead, which is Andromedan based energy. And so that one actually brings in energies from the Andromedan system. And then there's Nocti, which is Pleiadian based. And that was a modality that was downloaded to me in 2019. And it was kind of an interesting thing. It just kind of happened one day and I went, what is this? I had to tune in to find out. And one of my friends was an angel communicator. And I'm like, Brian, what is this energy? He's like, oh, that's a new energy you're bringing to the world. I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do with that? He's like, here, go write. They're going to tell you. And I ended up with 5 pages about this new healing modality called Nocti. So there's Aqualead is that Andromedan. Nocti is Pleiadian. There's another one that's coming through right now that came through at an enlightenment evening. Kaylee was there actually. And it's called Nigera. And Nigera means no shadow. And it's a Syrian energy. And so that's bringing that energy. And then I'm also in the middle of taking a class in Arcturian energy. So the Arcturians actually bring in a lot of that sort of more of a science approach to things. Kaylee, they've actually offered a change in how to spell that Nigera to me. So I'll share that with you. The Arcturians are very like almost sciencey, you know. So my Arcturian guide helps me with doing things like etheric surgery, and so that's going to be in there as well, the etheric surgery. And then there's also going to be travel, so journey work, because that's what shamans do, right? We journey to do the healing work, and so taking people on journeys to, you know, the planets that they may have had lifetimes on. So doing past life work, but on other planets is going to be part of that. And working with crystals is also very, very galactic in its approach. So there's going to be a whole bunch of different stuff.
Wow.
So
It's fascinating. I just can't imagine how you keep up with it, because, you know, the differentiation between one and the other. I'm like, wow, that's a lot to remember, you know, but obviously it must feel different. You must get a whole different sense when you're connecting to it.
Well, like what Fogo Pogo says here, Kaylee, Nocti is very different from Reiki and Aqualead. It is. So each one feels different in my hands. So Reiki, when I'm channeling it, feels very warm, like a warm hug, right? And then there we go. Yeah. And then Aqualead feels very wavy energy. People experience it when they're on the bed, like waves going down. And then Nocti is very like kinetic feeling. It almost feels like it's doing this in my hand. Not at all painful, just very kinetic. And then Nigera is very almost like a pulse. It kind of comes out and it feels like it's doing this. So it's really about the qualities of the energy. So each of these different modalities, they just bring a different quality of energy to the table. So the qualities of energy they target different frequencies within the energy system. They may target different layers of the energy field. They target different parts of the body as well, or different emotional aspects, depending. So, wow. Yeah, it does feel almost ultrasonic. Yeah. So they're very different, and the galactic energy feels different from Aqualead, because Aqualead, even though it's an Andromedan energy, it very much marries the Andromedan with the Earth energies, because it is also connected to elementals here on Earth. So there's really it's a beautiful balance of the two. So that's part of why that's one of the first modalities within the Galactic Shaman program, because it allows us to really start to build that connection to the galactic energy.
Wow.
Ladies, we're past the hour.
Oh.
We would talk for another 2 hours, actually, and we won't scratch the surface. all the listeners who wants to know more about the programs that Tanis has, you can LinkedIn to twillowlifestyle.ca. The banner's been at the bottom for a while now, twillowlifestyle.ca. And for our programs, of course, our sponsor, spiritcafe.ca. Right now at the Spirit Cafe, there's the Spirit Cafe events that is happening in June. And it's a full year program, but you can come in at any point in time, and more programs are going to be added to the Spirit Cafe. That will be in sometimes in June, July. We'll be adding a couple of more programs in there. And Tanis, as always, of course, it is interesting. It's more than interesting. Thank you so much for being on the show with us, and we'd love to have you again. And I'll see you tomorrow, anyways.
And, truly an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
Kathy and Susie, thank you again for not only being on the show, being part of the show, but also being the sponsor of Open Mic UK, and Open Mic. I should call it Canada or US, something like that. North America.
North America, yeah.
Yeah, North America. So thank you very much. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And tomorrow with Kaylee, we have a special guest, Kaylee, who's been on the show today, helping us. Here she is. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Have a pleasant evening in the UK, and good day for North America.
Awesome.